Executive Technology Committee meeting. It's Thursday, May 18th. The time is 2:02, and we will call the meeting to order. We have myself, Vice Chair Commissioner Carthen, and we have Alex Bentoncourt, who is our Director of IT Services here in the county. Want to go ahead and take a Is that okay with you, Director Bentoncourt?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So we will move on to our next agenda item, which is the discussion items for the update on the 2022 ARPA technology projects. Director Bentoncourt, you have the floor.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to present the presentation update for the 2023 and 2022 ARPA technology projects and their statuses. So let me get the presentation going here. Let me know if y'all see that.
You're good.
Okay, so we're going to start with the 2022 projects, and this is just the breakdown list of the 2022 to 2023, beginning with the year 2022. We were graciously allocated $1.2 million from the ARPA federal funds for technology use for the county. And these projects were presented to the board and to the technology committee and were approved as presented. The list of the projects were spread across most all departments in the county. Some projects were related to infrastructure upgrades that were needed and cybersecurity upgrades that were needed for the county. Starting from the top, we have our GIS cloud migration project with Rock Technologies. They took all of our GIS applications from CAD and Esri and all that, and they moved it to our Amazon hosted cloud system so they can operate with a lot more resources and make a lot more resources available to the public through the cloud. The project was completed back in 2022. We have our laptop end of life, the first end of life recycling that we did in 2022. I believe we were able to get about 150 systems replaced throughout the county. We have a end of life schedule for all our devices. I believe we tried to replace the laptops every 5-6 years for security reasons and for performance. So we were able to do 150 in 2022, mainly due because of the price increase from the supply chain issues that we had last year.
Director,
yes.
Before you move any further, the GIS, is there a video regarding the GIS cloud migration so that the public, including myself, because I love to use it, is there a video helping us to understand how to best use that since it's in the cloud now?
We could put one together for the public. I'll work with Ed on that.
Okay. I think that would be very useful. Once people figure out how convenient this is, I think it'll get a lot more use if we are able to help some people understand, ways that it could be utilized. So thank you.
GIS provides a lot of useful data to the public and a lot of tools as well.
Yeah.
I will get Ed and we'll put something together and we'll have the communication department distribute it through our social channel.
Wonderful. Thank you. Continue.
So laptop end of life for 2022, those were completed. We also have some security camera upgrades that were installed at the tax commissioner's office. We had some sections of the tag office and the tax office that needed to be monitored, places where transactions would happen and equipment was being stored. We had, it was a challenge finding a vendor that met all the criteria for federal funding. So we're about 90% done on that project. I think the only thing that we're missing is having the mobile application set up so the cameras can be monitored. We use a company called Compass Solutions, a local-based company for this to do that. But we anticipate that this should be completed any day now. We had our cybersecurity. Yes.
So on the for the mobile app for access, is that for who is the person that watches the cameras for the tax assessment or the tax commissioner's building?
So the cameras are constantly recording and all the video stored for our compliance and policy. It's sitting on the same NVR server system that we originally was installed in that building that the sheriff's office can monitor.
Okay.
The mobile app access will, mobile live viewing through the app or through the web will be available for the tax commissioner, whoever on his staff he decides to give it to, and the sheriff's office, wherever they would want to assign to.
Got you. So the tax commissioner is the person who is responsible for assigning that app access.
Correct.
Got you. Just wanted to know. All right. Thank you. Carry on.
Our cybersecurity and networking monitoring system. This is a tool that was sorely needed in the county. We want to on this particular project, we're not going to name the company just for security reasons. But this is an application that integrates AI to monitor all our security changes in the network on our file system, and helps us prevent attacks from any bad actors from the outside. This project was completed in 2022. We also had a back in 2021 when I came on board. I noticed that there was no real remote support tool for the county. As our workforce migrated to the hybrid workforce and a remote workforce, we needed a tool that we can provide support for the everyone that was spread out through their homes or to remote offices. So we used the company. We evaluated a couple of companies that provided secure access for government agencies to be able to push out updates and remote into their computers and provide support to users without having to be driving around the county or having people come into the offices and bring in their equipment and do a remote. That's been a great help for the help desk team. Our MFA security project, this is one of those criteria that was hard to find a vendor that met the federal guidelines to use these funding sources. We finally were able to partner with a company called Cambridge Computers, which has a state contract with the state of Georgia to provide a deployment for this software. Another challenge that we have with this is that we have about 1,500 users that are going to be using this system or will be required to use this system, but we only have about 250 mobile devices that the county, 250 to 300 mobile devices the county actually assigns to people. So we wanted to give users the option to provide their multi-authentication code through different various sources. Some people might not want to use a private phone for the app or for text messages, so we were able to deploy a solution that you can provide that authentication code through the application, through text messages, or through a phone call to your desk phone. So we're covered almost in every way that could be required to provide that code. It also has expansion capabilities. If in the future we want to do biometrics. So this project is, the PO has been issued and the agreement has been executed. We anticipate to be fully deployed by the end of July.
My only question, this is excellent. Happy about this. My only question to you is, does that also means that HR needs to update their policy so that people understand that this will become a part of your onboarding and you are expected to adhere to the MAF security? So is that something we need to update?
And so we're going to add it on. We have a computer use policy that we present as the IS department during all onboarding and all orientation. It goes over security policies, our acceptable use policies for your computers, what you're responsible for, and things like that. This will be added to that as well.
Okay.
And then it'll be also added to the countywide requirements for employment.
And the second part of that, just because this is what I do, make sure that we have HIPAA, if we do go the route of the biometrics, just regarding a HIPAA waiver in there, in terms of that, since you're talking about, I'm assuming it would be fingerprint or I'm assuming fingerprint.
Yeah, in the future we just exactly. Yeah,
okay.
100% right. Yeah, in the future we decide to go with facial recognition or fingerprint. We will have our HIPAA waiver attached to that computer policy as well.
All right, wonderful. Carry on.
This is Q Public software is a software for the tax assessor's office that provides assessment details. I believe in real time to the public. It also ties into that GIS migration project that we did as well that I presented earlier, which the GIS cloud migration creates a connection directly to the software to get live data about your property. This project has also been completed. It was led by a company called Q Public and our tax assessor, Steve Belfer, in his office.
Quick question. So this just, I know Tyler Technologies is the vendor for the new software that the tax assessor's office is using and the tax commissioner, so that they can, share information between the two. One of the things that Director Balfour brought to our attention is that there is a need for information to be transferred into Tyler Technology, and it's very costly. Did he bring that to your attention at all?
I think this is something that we've been aware of. So to be clear, Q Public, although on the presentation it says a vendor that is Tyler, this is not Tyler. The company's called Q Public. IsoWorld is the software that the tax office and the assessor's office migrated to. That's from Tyler. Now we were aware that we were going to have some data conversion from our old systems, and we were aware that there was going to be some costs associated with. I think we didn't have a complete picture of it because we wouldn't know until we started converting all that data. So yeah, this is something that we were going to have to tackle as needed basis. The old system that we were using uses completely different data tables than Tyler uses or anybody else uses, so it has to be manually converted and translated into whatever SQL language Tyler uses.
So the mapping of the old data to the new system that Tyler is using could not be done in-house. This would actually have to be done through them and at the cost that they are going to pass over to us, is my question.
Yes, I believe so.
Okay. So in the future, and I know data mapping and the different languages based on what the software language is comprised of, it does differ. How in the future can we best not have surprises like this? Because from what Director Balfour tells me, this is going to be pretty hefty, like almost 100,000 or so?
Yeah. This project was already costly for the deployment.
Exactly. Yeah.
This project was engaged, unfortunately, before my time. We're going through something similar now for the Development Services Office with a project called Camino that I'll speak about that later on, where there is going to be some data conversion. During the evaluation process of the vendor or the software solution that we were looking into, that's one of the questions that we asked was, what would be the cost of migrating from our current system? What would be the cost to convert whatever data points we have to their proprietary data points? And we budget that into the budget request when we presented it to the board. So we knew that we had enough funding between the software costs, licensing costs, hosting costs, and any migration costs that was associated with that.
And I think this is something that, this is why I like for technology updates or requests to really come through you all as opposed to a department doing its own. And I know the tax assessor and I don't even think it was Steve Balfour at the time, but yeah, having these questions answered up front helps us to ensure that there are no surprises with funding, because we didn't anticipate that and neither did he, and it kind of caught all of us by surprise. And so maybe getting that template out to people beforehand when they are looking at, and even getting that out to Director Amons, right? When she's putting in these RFPs, all of that stuff needs to be in there, so we won't get caught off guard. Because from talking to Steve Balfour, we could have possibly used another vendor that would not have cost this much. But now we're already here, and kind of, I don't want to say stuck, but this is where we are. So.
Yeah, and I think we have safety rules in place for this. Part of the modernization policies that the board approved recently was that all technology projects would have to come through the technology committee and the IS office. And then our job would be to, do these checks and balances for our RFPs and our requests for new solutions, and make sure that we have the entire picture in mind when we come to the board and ask for funding.
All right. Well, I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page in regards.
Absolutely.
All right. Continue.
So the next one was just the backup AC unit for the server room. The current unit that we have at the time last year was about 20-something years old, and we were kind of piecing it together. As you know, our server room is fairly large, and temperature is a key component of that area. It was very hard for us at the time to keep temperatures below 75 degrees Fahrenheit, which is pretty much a threshold where you want to be with that kind of equipment. So we were able to install a secondary mini split into the server room that allows us to run both simultaneously and keep that temperature in that room below 70 degrees. And even in the summertime, so it keeps all that equipment cool and operating at high efficiency. The next one was backup storage for the DA's office. The DA's office is one of those departments that's very data heavy on their files. As you know, they deal with a lot of cases that involve a lot of video evidence, a lot of dash cam and a lot of body cam videos. Recently, all these videos are in high definition, anywhere from 1080p to 4K. And each one of those video files can be just as big as 4 gigabytes. And because of Georgia law, we are required to keep those case files, I believe it's for 5 or 6 years, before we can move to cold storage. So this department is very data hungry on their resources, so we had to upgrade their SAN system, which is serial attached storage on the server. We were able to give them an extra 25 terabytes, which was able to hold them over for about a year of their current data. and that project was completed last year. This is just maintenance for additional phone licenses.
Director Bittencourt, before you move on. So with the backup storage for the DA's office, these tapes have to be kept on a server on site?
Yeah.
Is that law?
It's not law, but this is how most departments operate. So a lot of police departments, the sheriff's office, they use Axon systems for their cameras, and those cameras are kept on a service called evidence.com, which is a cloud storage service. Mm-hmm. And they're stored in there on cold storage where it's as needed access. You would download these videos. For the DA's office, during their investigations and their prosecution of a case, they need constant access to these videos. And they need to constantly copy them and move them and share them and go through them. So it's really not very effective for them to have to download 4 gigabits from a website every time they need a new video.
Okay, got it.
So they basically need hot availability on that data. And that's why, unfortunately, it's the only solution is to have it on site. During the time of the cases, and some of these cases can take years to try, or and keep alive while evidence is being evaluated.
Got you. I wish they could, if they know that cases, haven't been tried, but they're still, adding evidence or looking at it, if there was some way that they could streamline those, so those that aren't needed necessarily within like the next 6 months, you could upload, and then, when they know that they need it, that would be something that they would need to download, even though I know it takes a minute to download. Wow. That storage is woof. That's
yeah. And that was just for 1 year, and we're gonna keep going forward. We had to do another upgrade.
Right. So, wow. Okay. We gotta figure this one out, because, and I believe they're asking for something else too. So, all right, keep going.
So next one is just housekeeping additional desk phones and licenses that we have for our phone system. As we add more users and more employees to the county, we have to buy more licensing for phone systems, and we have to buy more physical phones for the desk. Some of this wasn't accounted in some of the departments that had to hire staff, so we just picked up the cost for that. And that was completed last year as well. We had a file and data security monitoring tool that ties into our cybersecurity platform. This is another system that leverages AI to monitor changes in the file and data security, so that if we have unauthorized use access or an attempted unauthorized access on any file system, the system automatically shuts down that access, or whatever user account is trying to access that, or whatever IP address. It'll suspend that access and shut it down while we investigate. The thing about that is that it removes the need for human interaction during one of those events, so that quite possibly if it happens over the weekend or after hours and somebody in the IF staff doesn't receive that notification in time, whoever's trying to get access to these systems that they're not supposed to doesn't have free reign until we get to the system. This thing automatically shuts off and blocks that access attempt while we investigate whether it's a legitimate access request or something malicious.
Kudos, bravo. Thank you for doing this one. Much needed. I thought about this, listening to some others who have had these incidents happen, and it's usually off-peak hours, right, when nobody is paying attention, that people try to get into those systems, right? So, right. Good job. Keep going.
This was also completed last year as well. Next, we have adding our libraries to the county network. For our 3 and coming 4th libraries in our county operated on their own Comcast circuit, were I believe provided by the West Regional Library System. One of the things that we wanted to do is that we wanted to bring the operation network into the county fiber network. So not necessarily the computers that the public uses, but the computers that the staff uses. We wanted to bring them into a fold of our security blanket within the county network, so they can also be protected by all these cybersecurity tools that we just talked about. So we deployed Comcast to all of the locations to install the fiber. All of our county sites are connected through what's called dark fiber back to the courthouse and back to the emergency operations department or operation building, so that we have a closed loop on our network. That way our different sites and users don't have to go through the open internet to get access to any resource in the server room in the courthouse or the phone system. So we were able to add, or we're in the process of adding those 3 libraries. Comcast was, we worked out an agreement with them where they covered the construction costs, and they covered the upgrade costs on their internet lines. So we were able to execute this upgrade without very little cost to what we had originally budgeted for. And once this is completed, I think right now they're in the permitting stage to get the fiber ran underground. Once this is complete, then the operational side of the libraries will be on the county network, protected on high-speed fiber network back to the courthouse. And we hope that this is done by the end of the summer.
Oh, this is excellent. Also, as we're getting ready to, of course, bring the new library online, we would need to coordinate with that with you as well, or James would.
That's already in process. So
oh, really?
Yeah. Well, once we get the firm address, then we can get Comcast starting on that. But we're already aware of that, and Comcast is already aware of that as well.
Look at you. Okay, music to my ears. Carry on.
So second part of this, so the library really, this is a 3-phase project. As you'll see going forward, which is adding the library to the county network, upgrading the library's computer system. This is the computer system for the operational side of the library, not the computer system that's available to the public. What the county has done is that we've taken some of our old surplus computers that we've recycled for security reasons. We re-imaged them, and we give them back to the library for them to use for the public side. For the operational side, we need this library to use Douglas County branded computers on our network, protected by our security tools and our antivirus and all of that. So we went ahead and we deployed, we're deploying new laptops to the staff at the library for their Douglas County operation. I believe that's almost complete. We are just waiting on we have to coordinate with the West Regional Library System on replacing the current computers they have with the county computers, but that should be almost done this month. And then
I do have a question. So the equipment that you are replacing with county computers, do those computers go back to West Georgia Regional Library, or how do they dispose of them?
I believe that goes back to West Regional Library.
Okay, got you. All right, thanks.
The third part of this project is adding the library to our phone system. So right now the libraries operate on a Comcast phone system, so they can't dial by extension to the county. The county can't transfer calls really to them. We have a switchboard at the county that routes calls to each department depending on who you're asking for. Call the main number in the county. If you want to speak to somebody in IS, the routing system will take you to IS. I don't think we have that same system available now with the library through extensions. So once we have the fiber network laid out, installed, then we can bring in all of the libraries in their internal phone system as well. So this is all the equipment for this is ready to go, and all the licensing. The only thing that's pending is Comcast to finish up their fiber installation. The next project is probably one of the biggest projects that we were trying to tackle between last year and this year. This is moving our ERP system to the cloud. As we spoke earlier, we use Tyler New World And this manages our financial system, HR, ERP, approval systems, finance and accounting, grants module, and soon time and attendance and a timesheet program as well. Right now that sits locally in our data center. It takes up about 5 to 6 servers to run the system. Constantly needs upgrades and patching and downtime. I also believe starting next year, Tyler is not going to be providing upgrades for the on-premise version of their software. So we decided to go ahead and move this to their cloud infrastructure, similar to what the tax commissioner and the tax office has done with ISAWorld. So all of this will be hosted on their Tyler cloud, which is, you know, world-class security. We had to have replication through multiple data centers across the world, so the downtime is almost, you know, zero. We can operate basically the entire operation of the county from anywhere in the world once this is migrated to the cloud. They also would be in charge of upgrades. They'll be in charge of patching, and will be have the capability of not using the county VPN to access New World anymore. So this, it will allow anybody in the county that needs to access that ERP system, they can securely do it from anywhere with internet access.
So I don't have to connect back to the county in order to do New World like I'm doing now.
No, and then a catastrophe scenario, a catastrophic scenario, or some sort of cyber issue, the county will still be able to operate. Our financial system will still be operational. Our HR system and all of that will still be operational to the rest of the county.
Got you. Okay. Thank you.
So we anticipate this to be done sometime in July, full migration. We had Cobb County just went through this as well, and it's pretty seamless, but there's a lot of data to transfer. The good thing is it's the same vendor, so it's all proprietary to them, and they're taking care of all that. Next item for 2022 is just our switch and router replacement. This is just the end of life for our network equipment that we've been doing, that we've been replacing as they aged out. So that's an ongoing process that we're doing throughout the county and all the different sites in the county. We also tackled the courtroom audio-visual upgrade for Superior Court last year. We were able to do, I believe, 3 courtrooms, complete replacement of their audio, video, and presentation systems in there. Similar, they're able to do a remote court now. They're able to do digital presentation of evidence. Their entire sound system has been upgraded, all their screens, all their presentation equipment has been upgraded, and all the old stuff has been taken out. Some of the components of this, because of the supply chain issues, are still back ordered, and they're still being waiting to be installed. Most of the audio equipment has been installed, and microphones and speakers and TVs and all that has been installed, and it's working exponentially better than what was there before. But we need to finish the final. I believe there's some cameras that are missing, and some display control systems are missing. But once we're expecting that to come in sometime in August and finish that section of the courtroom, the court for Superior Court.
And so this will be completed this year, is what I hear you saying. Yeah.
And then you'll see later on, I'll talk about the next court system that's going to be upgraded.
Okay.
Intercom system for the senior services. This is also the same company that's doing the AV project for the courts. They went to senior services and they're putting together a quote to replace their intercom system at I believe the Woody Flight Center. This is a request that the senior services have made to in their budget for 2022 and something that we were able to adopt as part of our project. So once the Superior Court equipment comes in and the company comes out to replace it, they'll also be doing the senior service building. This is a project that's actually placed on hold. Originally, with the previous risk and safety director, we were looking into a software by a company called Origami that manages all our cases and all our coverages from all our insurance carriers and tracks all our requests and all our current cases that are pending in that department. Right now, they're using sort of a Access database that we put together. So it's difficult to track the statuses of these things in one single place. Originally, what we had budgeted for this project was based on pricing from 2022 and based on modules that the prior risk and safety director was interested in. When we came back to this project, the pricing almost doubled with the modules that they wanted to do. So we're putting this project on hold until we get a new risk and safety director. That way we don't implement a piece of software that they might not be in approval of. We want them to be part of the process. This is their department.
Awesome, thank you. I was told today that the new risk and safety director will start on June 12th. So.
Oh, awesome! We're looking forward to get this project going then.
Okay, thanks.
This is the fourth part of that library upgrade system. So one of the things that they desperately needed was security cameras outside and inside the library. So we got a quote through Comcast because they're a state vendor to replace and upgrade all the cameras for all three libraries. The original assessment was done. The project was put together and was designed. The only thing that pending the installation is that we have to wait until the libraries are added to the county fiber network in order to install these cameras so they can be inside that secure network. Once that fiber project is completed sometime in July, then we can Comcast will go out and install the camera system. We also have cameras that are being installed in the landfill area. Landfill had about 9 cameras in total in the exterior. One of them was, a couple of them weren't functioning correctly, and the server that stored the cameras was an on-premise NVR network video server that had one hard drive, and there was no real replication for that hard drive, so it was, and it was anybody's guess whether the video inside there was usable. So we went ahead and we had Comcast come out there, replace all the cameras, add an additional 4 cameras to the system, and then back up all those videos in their cloud infrastructure. So we're not dependent on physical hard drives to store those videos that can be used for security reasons. That project has been completed. So now we're moving over to 2023. These are the projects that was presented to the tech committee and the board and were approved for this year. This year we're also graciously granted $1.2 million from the federal ARPA funds for technology, starting with our stair storage upgrade. This goes in line with what we talked about the DA's office, but this actually encompassed the entire county. We needed a 5-year solution for our data needs. And even though, as you've seen the trend that we're moving most of our operations to the cloud, we are still required to keep some of the data locally available for different departments like the DA's office, locally available for them. So we upgraded our SAN. We did about 150 terabytes of redundant space on a SAN system on our server room. That should hold us over for the next 5 years, which will be our end of life anyways for that type of device. After that, I anticipate a lot of that data would either be moved to cold storage or we be migrated to the cloud, definitely. This project is almost completed. We're just troubleshooting and configuring the last portions of that physical hardware before we decide to migrate the rest of the data in there. We're also adding another backup and disaster recovery server. As you know, the more local data you have, when you upgrade your local data storage, you also have to upgrade your backup and disaster recovery storage and replication as well. This is an additional server that we needed to add for 20 terabytes to accommodate all the data that we're backing up and that we need available in case of catastrophe. This project is also almost complete. We're doing the final testing and replication of that data to the cloud. This is the software that the DA's office requested. This is an e-discovery cloud application for all their files that they get as evidence. It's a company called NICE. So we were able to get the agreement passed through legal. There was a couple of changes. It was a long agreement. Legal has been fantastic in helping us. All our partners and vendors have language in our agreements that protect the county's data, protects the county's privacy, the citizens' data, and also guarantees us a way to retrieve that data where we can migrate to another vendor. So our contract negotiations have been taking a little bit longer, but it's a good thing because we want to make sure the county is protected. So it took a little bit to get that contract put together, and then we had to go through the funding mechanism. We needed to get NICE to get registered with a couple of cooperatives that were in line with the federal funding regulation for ARPA, so they can use that funding source. Once that was completed, we were able to get them a PO. We just had our first planning meeting, I believe, 2 weeks ago. So we're in the planning stages for that migration, and the DA's office is working with our office and them to make sure that they get that up and running.
So, I keep hearing you say it has to allow with the ARPA funding, which is one of the reasons Jill has been working with you all to do that.
Yes.
Yay. Okay. So I often wonder how we are working, like what the Board of Commissioners implements, right? Because I usually don't get to see the day-to-day. I do now since I'm in an acting role, but it's good to know that things are not siloed, that we have processes in place, that you guys are working with each other. So it just hit me when you kept saying the ARPA funding, that there are certain rules and regulations and vendors that have to meet those requirements before we can just move forward and do what we do. So kudos to you and Jill. Thank you.
Yeah, Jill and LaTanya have been fantastic and great resources to make sure that we stay within regulation for the federal government. Mm-hmm. One of the best ways to do that is just to use vendors that have state contracts that they're already pre-approved, and right. That's what we try to do. That's why some of these projects sometimes take a little bit longer, because we try to find those specific vendors for those projects.
Got you. Thank you. And I'm assuming that you're just communicating with the offices that are requesting these types of things, just to communicate with them to let them know why things just may take a little longer. But
yeah, they are very understanding of the process. So.
Great. Thank you. Carry on.
This is another exciting project for us. One of the biggest projects probably for this year. It's our timesheet and time clock module. It's a module that's going to be based off our New World ERP solution. This will allow us to time track our employees more efficiently. Right now, we don't have an online system for that. So what this allows is that every single employee in the county will have an individual account, log into the system, and they can time in on their phones. They can time in, they can time out, they can request time off, they can keep track of their comp time, keep track of their sick time, keep track of their vacation time. We can also run audit reports and make sure that everybody's working the hours that they're scheduled to be working. It also has safety systems like If we decide to clock into the phones, we can set up geolocation, geofencing to make sure that you're clocking in from where you're supposed to be clocking in. It just keeps us more accountable, has better reporting and auditing system to make sure that we're using all our resources correctly across the county. This is a project that's been long overdue, and we're expecting the module to be in place and ready to go at the beginning of July, and then we'll start working with each individual department to set up their timesheet and scheduling and reporting and approval system, depending on how way that department operates. Going forward, we have another just like housekeeping project, which is our laptop end of life. I believe we were able to do 160 laptops this year that needed to be replaced for security reasons and for operations. Same thing with our network equipment end of life for our security equipment and for our network equipment across the county. We have 22 sites, including the courthouse, that are currently being evaluated and having all of their network equipment replaced. This is our routers or switches, layer 2, layer 3 devices that provide access and security in the network for the county. They need to be replaced first for operational reasons and second for security reasons as they age out. Another project that we did this year is we added cameras in the fire admin building, specifically in the area where the medication is kept for the paramedics. This is something that's a requirement by the, I believe, CDC. So we partnered again with Comcast, and we deployed 3 cameras in the fire admin building that were specified to us where they need to be monitored. These areas are being constantly monitored at 4K resolution. They can track a person, they can track movement, they have infrared night vision, and they're all that video is securely uploaded to the cloud and stored for the required amount of time. This project also was completed this year.
And Alex, I'm assuming that it is the fire or interim fire chief at this point that has access to this if ever it's questioned for security or reasons.
I believe right now the access is controlled by Stacy Farmer.
Okay.
She handles the operation on that side. And then I believe Interim Chief Allen will also have access to that.
Okay, got it. Thank you.
No problem. This is a project that we're looking into teaming up with the Parks Department. So the parks, we have several parks in the county, and some of them had some security incidents, and we want to partner with Comcast to provide some security monitoring, not just in the parking lot, but also in the interior of the park. Concession stands, maybe some of the trails, some of the ball fields and stuff like that. So we're working with Comcast, and we're going to be working with parks to identify a park we want to use as a test subject for this. There's so many different camera technologies that we can use today, where we don't have to run like power cables or data cables or anything like that across a large field or large area like a park. We can leverage solar powered cameras and 4G and 5G cameras to monitor a large area of a park. So we're working with the park security team to identify a park we want to try this out at. I've done similar projects in other municipalities, and this has worked out really great for the sheriff's office, and so that the public feels safer, maneuvering through these parks, not just the parking lot. This is the second upgrade that we're doing for the court's AV system. The chief judge has identified the state court as the next recipient of these upgrades. We're going to be doing the same thing that we did for Superior Court, complete rip out and replace of their audio visual system, their presentation software, presentation equipment, the remote court capabilities, all of that. So Once the project is completed with Superior Court, once that equipment is installed, then they'll start setting up state court. We're hopeful that we can get this done this year as well. So thankfully we had a backup unit installed last year for our server room because the main unit went out this year too. So we had our main AC unit in the server room finally completely went out. The parts to replace that unit were not available because it's about 20 years old. Our secondary unit that we installed last year was not large enough to keep the area cool by itself, so we had to replace the main unit. Mark with the facilities team was able to get us a good deal with Train, which is a state contract, to replace the main unit and upgrade the capability, so we're able to keep the area back down and cooled. This project was also completed this year as well. Moving forward, we have some GIS software and hardware upgrades. On the software side, they wanted to add some capabilities on their website that's available to the public to provide more details and more tools for not just the public in the residential, but also maybe on the business development side and on the commercial side. So they're doing some upgrades on the website for that. Also, as you may know, the GIS equipment like the laptops and computers are more resource heavy than a regular operational equipment. So they were upgrading their desktops and laptops to be able to run these resource heavy and intensive applications like 3D modeling and layering software and wireframe software that they use to provide data for the county. So Ed is working with his vendors on that to get that processed out, and they will be completed this year as well. This is something that I was interested in doing last year. It's part of our CGIS compliance, which requires us to keep our the IS areas and the server areas secure from the rest of the courthouse. In order to access our areas to be CGIS certified, you have to go through a training, and you have to go through a security training on handling data and handling these sensitive equipment. Right now, we have a code system to get into our areas, but that code is a shared code. So that's obviously not secure. There's not a lot of auditing or tracking. We can't tell who individually accesses what at what time. So we worked with Mark from Facilities, and we were able to find a vendor that was under state contract, and we were install access card systems on our areas, on our where we keep equipment. This way, once these access card systems are installed, access will be determined by individual, not by groups. And then each individual will have their own access, or county access card, and we will access that. We'll be able to keep an audit trail of who accessed what and when, and we would be compliant with CGIS in that. I believe that vendor has just received the PO, so we're probably expecting this to be done, sometime this summer.
Got you. And my only question with that is, would this be through a separate access card, or would it be through employee ID access card?
It'd be through the same thing, and the sheriff's department will manage it.
Would manage it? Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. All right.
So it'll be the same card that you have now.
Got you. And you would be able to pull down any records. I'm assuming you would be over that. So I'm assuming I would go to you if there was anything that I felt was leaked out or.
Exactly. Physical security is the first layer of, data security. So,
right.
We'll be able to pull data logs. We'll be able to restrict access to areas like the server room and the telephone closet to only individuals that absolutely need to be in that area. I mean, even members of my team don't need to be in some of those areas.
Okay.
So we'll be able to not only secure it, but also provide, by the hour or by the minute or the second access logs of who went into what area at what time. And if we need to cross-reference that between some sort of incident, we can.
Wonderful. Thank you.
No problem. So this is another project that we're really excited about. It's with the development services, not with public works. A company called Camino, and basically what we're trying to do is migrate or move all our licensing and permitting systems to the cloud and online to provide that capability for our residents. You know, one of the responsibilities that I feel we have in government and technology is to provide as many government services online as we can, so people don't have to come into the courthouse physically if they can't or they don't want to. So once this project is complete, residents and businesses will be able to go online, renew their licensing. They will also be able to go online, submit permitting for their properties or whatever project they're doing, pay their fines, track the status of their permitting, view pictures, upload pictures, whatever they need to do, whatever they would normally do here on site at the courthouse, they could do online 24/7.
This is huge. I'm so looking forward to this one. So I can't wait. This one is long overdue.
This is something that, we're very excited about this. You know, our theme, or my theme, for my tenure is to move as much government services as I can online.
Yes.
You know, not necessarily for people to have to take time off of work or,
exactly.
You know, to come to the courthouse to do these things. We're hoping that we're definitely going to get it. The goal is to get it online before business license renewals go out. So people can try to do this online. James and the team and Allison and her team are working diligently with this vendor, with our support as well, to migrate all the data that we currently have in our systems for licensing and permits, migrate that so we can have historical data as well inside that system, and then push it out online. This will be a link on our county website that people can click on and go through the entire permitting and licensing process online, all the way up to paying their fines and getting their ECO or CO or whatever.
Awesome. Thank you.
This is a software for the print shop. This is something that Mark requested. That was supposed to be part of the new equipment that they received for printing out the flyers and stuff that they do. That was not included in the original delivery that they did on the equipment. This is an Adobe, a Canon system, Prisma system, that allows them to design and control the functionalities of these printers and automate them to be more efficient in the department. So the software was purchased and ordered to be delivered any day now. SharePoint project, this is something that I'm also excited about, that we've been planning since last year. Essentially what we want to create with SharePoint is that we want to create a online portal for employees for the county, with the goal is that you'll be able to basically do most of the functions that you do at your desk, but remotely. You'll be able to log in to your SharePoint site, have access to a main county SharePoint site, and also have access to each individual department's SharePoint site with access to the department inclusive files, depending on your access level. Instead of having to go through the network and having to go through the VPN and getting into the share drives and all that, it'll be all on one page, accessible to you depending on your access level and your department membership. And we'll be able to migrate all these permissions and migrate all these files and sync them through SharePoint, so that when you're on site, you can still work as you normally do, but when you're remotely, you essentially just need access to a website. And you'll be able to do all your functions, access all your Office 365 applications on that page, edit and create documents, spreadsheets, access our ERP systems, our GIS systems, all these tools and software solutions that will be online will be part of that portal as well. This is something that I'm excited about, to be able to move our operation even more robust and remote, so that if something were to happen, some catastrophe, we can continue our operation and our services to citizens online. We're hoping to get a SharePoint developing company that falls within our parameters for ARPA sometime this year and get started on this project. Facilities management software. As you know, we have a lot of facilities in Douglas County, a lot of buildings, a lot of locations. We currently don't have a way to have all that management and all those requests and all that maintenance back in one system. We're looking at several solutions. One of the ones that we like is called iWork. So we're gathering all the different quotes and all the different presentations that we need to make a decision on that. Hopefully we'll get something evaluated and chosen by the end of next month and be able to move forward on that. This is something that we're working with James Worthington and his team on that, on getting that set up. And it'll help us track not just the warranties and not just the issues on our facilities, but also things that need to be replaced. We can plan for the future. If we need HVAC systems that we know are going to need to be replaced, we can plan better for that kind of stuff.
Also, will this facilities management software, Alex, also do real estate asset management? Is that something that can be a part of this?
Yeah, they'll have some sort of asset management on there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's from like a monetary purpose point of view, but definitely it'll have it through an equipment asset system, and we'll be able to manage all the different locations under individual sections. But yeah, that's a part of the project that asset side.
Okay. Specifically though, for my thought is real estate asset management, because we were just made aware of some property that the county had that we didn't know we had. And so it's like we're not tracking all of our actual real estate property, right? In terms of, right-of-way acquisitions and those types of things. Like facility management software, real estate asset management, what parts of that we need to maintain, right? Because there are often times where people say, hey, no, the county is responsible for this patch of grass. And we're like, no, we relinquished that to you, years ago. So, this helps us to keep up with what is ours in terms of dollars and cents and what we need to maintain, over time. So that's just one of my requests. I don't know if this management software can do it, but I would ask if you could at least check.
Yeah, I don't see why it wouldn't be able to do that. Anything that the county owns will be inputted into the system, mm-hmm. and anything that the county manages will be put into the system, mm-hmm. Whether it's roads or buildings or land or plots. Uh-huh. It would be in the system, so at the very least you could get a list of what the county owns, and what the county is responsible for.
Right. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay. Thanks.
And then the last project is the Sheriff's Office requested some funding so they can upgrade their network and their wireless network system. As you know, back in 2021, we upgraded all the Wi-Fi network at the courthouse that was severely needed. Sheriff's Office system was just as old as ours. They weren't able to upgrade it then, so we were able to supply some funding through ARPA to their department so they can upgrade their network and their wireless network infrastructure. They're highly dependent on their wireless network infrastructure. Their video cameras and their cars and all that stuff uses the wireless network and the physical network to upload all those dash cam videos and all those body cam videos to their cloud system every day. So we need to make sure that their wireless and their network equipment is up to date and secure and high capacity. So they're using a vendor that we used as well in the courthouse, and it's a state vendor, it's ARPA compliant. I believe they're in the middle of getting all that set up and installed and configured. And this is a project that I would expect to be completed this year as well. And that's it for 2022 and 2023.
Oh, y'all have been busy.
A little bit.
Awesome. The only thing that I would ask, and I think I mentioned this to you before, but just to those who are online and the team, that as we move forward with budgeting, a lot of these that we have put in place under ARPA, we will definitely need to figure out a way to incorporate them into the budget moving forward, right? So, you know, it's better for us as the board to know upfront and the finance department to know upfront what we're looking at in terms of maintaining all of these technology resources rather than catching us by surprise. I just don't like surprises. So if you could, you know, incorporate for us the upkeep, maintenance, licenses, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and we track all of that, and then we've been very cognizant of the things that are going to be recurring costs on these projects. Okay. You know, this year we already absorbed some of those recurring costs in our budget from last year's projects. I assume that there's still a lot more that we need to absorb for going next year. But we'll be, you know, I try to be very clear when I submit my budget on what that line item is. We try not to be vague. We try to be as precise as possible so that the board has a really clear idea what funding and the importance of that specific line item or software that we're using.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. I guess we'll move on to our last agenda item, which is a presentation from AT&T FirstNet.
Yes. So this is I asked Andrew for a quick presentation. As you know, the county currently uses T-Mobile as a mobile carrier, and we migrated last year. This was mostly a forced migration because the county used to use Sprint, and Sprint got bought out by T-Mobile, and T-Mobile forced us basically to migrate to their network. As some of you are aware, a lot of you are aware, the public safety offices are using FirstNet. And just a quick little setup for Andrew or Mitch, who's there representing. FirstNet is a service provided by AT&T for government services, specifically emergency response areas, and they provide priority coverage and priority bandwidth for government agencies. So we are not on the same bandwidth pool, on the same service pool as residential or commercial. We're a tier above them on AT&T FirstNet during emergencies and that kind of those kind of situations we make sure that we're connected and we have signal. They also provide equipment in emergency situations that can provide connectivity to the county and to the emergency services vehicles. As you all know, we have some dead spots in the county, and then we've been experiencing some dead spots over with T-Mobile. So one of the things that we're considering to present to the board and to present to the tech committee would be a possible migration from T-Mobile to AT&T FirstNet. But before we consider that, we wanted to bring some more detail to that to the committee.
Yeah, just to interject also, Alex, this is Rod from the Sheriff's Office. We currently use FirstNet and have had a favorable experience with them.
Awesome. Thanks, Rod.
Yeah, thank you, Rod. Well, thank you for having us on, and thanks for the introduction, Alex. You stole our thunder a little bit there. So thank you guys for having us on. My name is Andrew Whitaker, as Alex mentioned. I represent the FirstNet team for Northwest Georgia, so I have everything from Columbus up to Chickamauga at the Tennessee line and kind of over to Raven County. Also joining us is Mitchell Schaefer. Mitch, you want to introduce yourself real quick?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Andrew, and thank you, Alex, for the awesome introduction, and appreciate the input, Rod. It's a pleasure to meet you all. Been looking forward to getting in front and introducing myself to you guys. So I work hand in hand with Andrew on the AT&T and FirstNet side. So I'm the government representative for the state of Georgia, and me and Andrew partner together on all of our accounts, servicing the local municipalities and public safety in the state. So we're really looking forward to working with you guys and furthering our partnership. And I'll kick it back over to Andrew to kind of break down the FirstNet mission and where we've come today. Thank you.
Thanks, Mitch. Do you guys see my screen, or do you just see my presentation? Like, is it just the slides that you guys see?
It's in presentation mode, Andrew, right now. It looks like.
do this.
There we go.
All right, there we go. All right, well, thanks for having us on, guys. So for those of you that aren't familiar with FirstNet, we're gonna give you guys kind of a brief timeline where we've come from, how we've evolved to what we are, and how we support you guys. So basically, out of 9/11, there were a couple things that happened. Radios don't penetrate buildings. Phones don't work because everybody's trying to use them at the same time. This is network congestion. And so out of that was born the FirstNet Authority, because the 9/11 Commission and the FCC said we've got to put together a public safety network. We don't have one. We should have had one long before that, right? And so at first, the government thought they would build it themselves, which obviously that would be like me providing fiber to every single house in the entire country. It's trillions of dollars. It just wasn't a feasible thing to do. So out of that came an RFP from the authority. And basically whoever won this RFP for the next 25 years would be the network to deliver the public safety network that should have been in place long before that. To be clear, out of all the carriers, we were the only ones that bid on that RFP. Verizon did not, Sprint did not at the time, and T-Mobile did not, or otherwise known as Deutsche Telekom. So we were willing to sacrifice our network. So we won this RFP, and we were tasked to build this network within its 10-year frame. We'll kind of cover what that timelines look like because we far exceeded that. But the big piece to understand is this is not plain old telephone service. This is not just cellular phone service. It is the only true public safety network out there in the country of its kind because of the way it operates. And what's great is it's the first public-private partnership of its kind in this space we're held accountable to delivering to you guys. So the SIM that I put in your phone, to be clear, is not an AT&T SIM. You don't fight for spectrum on my towers, no matter where you are in the United States and the territories we own, so long as you have my FirstNet SIM in your phone. So the way that works, just so you can understand, is the three pillars. I call it QPP, or quality of service, network preemption, and network priority. So prioritization, you can get that anywhere. You can get that on T-Mobile, you can get that on Verizon. But the difference here is because we operate on a separate core with our SIMs, that allows us to identify you guys at all times, and it's an always-on solution versus a manually requested prioritization. And then on top of that, we ruthlessly preempt and terminate consumer traffic in additional lanes if needed to open up additional lanes on every tower that you're on, no matter what. So the great thing is it's an always-on solution. It's nothing you have to request. It's no manual process, and it doesn't just work on voice. It also works on your data devices and anything that you do on your devices on a daily basis. So this applies to your phones, your modems. I heard Alex mention network data center backups. We use we use our network to back up counties and cities and hospitals all over the country, airports, critical infrastructure. So it's a really special network. Because of the parameters that we were held accountable to deliver you guys, one of the conditions the authority placed on us is absolutely zero throttling of any sort, anytime. So I know you and I and all of us, with the amount of data we use today, think about all those times you've been throttled in downtown 75, 85 in downtown Atlanta when you're in traffic, right? That throttling cannot and will not occur ever on this network. So that's really special when you start thinking about all the use cases the county uses our network for. So we're used currently, for example, with Rod's team on the sheriff's side with Tim. We're actually in most of their MDTs or mobile data terminals in their vehicles and running body cams and GCIC and all the things that officers do out in the space. And we're able to sustain that with flying colors and work when we need to work most. So out of this RFP, one of the special things too, in addition on this network, is we were peeled away a special piece of spectrum called band 14. So that's a 700 megahertz low band frequency that's dedicated only to FirstNet during a crisis. And that is your lane, if you will, that you guys ride in, that your devices always look for and will run on. So that allows you to kind of pivot and move and stay connected in a manner that nobody else can deliver. We've done a lot of different things with this public-private partnership. We were given about $60 billion in capital to build this network, and we were given a 10-year timeline. But we've actually delivered that within 5 years. We're 99.9% built out now of what we were required to build by the authority. And I'll show you guys kind of what that looks like as we press through the presentation here. So who qualifies, right? There's a lot of people that do qualify for this in the governmental space. So of course, guns and hoses, as we call them. So law enforcement, fire, PSAP, 911, E911, EMA, anybody that's a first responder is a primary user. But we've opened this up and have since the beginning opened this and created more use cases to include transportation, utilities, of course, anybody in the body of your government that supports the county during a crisis or uses a phone on the county service does qualify, because at the end of the day, you know, we all support the guns and hoses space on the government side. Then use even in some special use cases can use this if there's surveillance there that say shoots reconnaissance back to law enforcement for any kind of a crisis related event. Broadcasting for emergency broadcasts, not just any broadcast. K through 12 is also another space we've expanded, and we'll talk a little bit about that as your school system's using us today. So that said, these are some of the sectors within Douglas County that we work with currently. So Douglas County Schools is actually putting their entire school bus system and we're ditching their radios and going on our push-to-talk solution to communicate during a crisis and also in their daily operations, busing children around the county. We've tested every nook and cranny of the county. E.W. Tolbert and I have driven it, if you guys know him. We've driven every corner of this county, and I know Rod's poked every hole imaginable in my network over time. And we've really good coverage out there. So because of that, obviously Douglasville is kind of slowly dipping their foot in the water. Douglas County or Douglasville Police have a small piece of business with me, and you know, we'll be transitioning the rest of them at a later point along with the rest of the city. So Dallas PD as a whole is on with us. City of Atlanta just moved on. That was a big win. And a very long time coming. So the police and fire are on, and we're moving the rest of the city now. Paulding County Schools, Fulton County Schools, a lot of people. City of South Fulton as a whole just finished up with us. So a lot of folks around you, Cobb County government, the list goes on and on and on and on. And there's a reason for that. It's simply because we're the only ones that deliver this manner of connectivity out there. So because of that, starting from 2018 with a lonely 10,000 subscribers that were willing to be our guinea pigs when we first launched this network to what we are today, we owned a single digit percentage of the public sector space. And now we actually own over 55% of it and have overtaken most of the industry across the country, bringing us to about, now it's 4.7 million subscribers. We have covered over 3 million square miles of coverage out there across the U.S. Again, we were tasked to build this for the next 10 years. We're already at plan at 99.9% built out for band 14. That's that special layer we talked about for you guys. We've expanded and lended to you guys free of charge an asset program. Lord willing, Rod has not had to use it out there yet, but we've used it and been battle tested across the country. What this is it's an asset program that we provide to you guys free of charge with the service. And think about how we would use it, whether it's a planned event or if it's a catastrophe or a crisis related event, storms, etc. I mean, tornadoes are not predictable. You know, hurricanes we can kind of prepare for. We've been there for every single storm across the country, every single time guaranteed, whether you had us or not, with Aerostats, which is a blimp that casts 25 miles of coverage where a tower is taken out, to a cell phone tower on wheels, as we call Colts or cows, down to drones that we've launched in Puerto Rico when they got hit by hurricanes. But we've been there every step of the way for our first responders, for our communities, even when you don't have us, handing out devices to make sure that you have what you need when you need it most. And as a result, that's why people have moved. So this is a good example of an expansion we've started to this program. What you're looking at in that center picture there is called a CRD, which stands for Compact Rapid Deployable. What that is now you don't have to rely on us, but even though we have these assets stateside and we usually respond within 4 to 6 hours of a request, if something were to happen, you can have your own asset on wheels on the back of a trailer hitch and deployable within 15 minutes of a crisis or an occurrence or even planned event. It's a completely self-sustained cell phone tower that gives you a 1 to 2 mile coverage zone, and we're the only carrier that can deliver that to you. You'll also see on the right there, what that's called is a high-powered user equipment. It's basically a high-gain modem that can create a 1 to 200 foot bubble, and it's basically a network in a box and grab a tower up to 20 miles away. Again, exclusive when you come onto FirstNet. I know this is more towards the public safety side, but I can't tell you how many times just standard government has used this. I mean, in many, many different events, planned or unplanned. And this is just kind of talking about the compact rapid deployable. We'll skip from that. So where we came from to where we are today, we have, again, invested billions, not millions, but billions of dollars into this network. Because let's be honest, 2018, AT&T did not have the coverage that we needed, especially when we were up against, Verizon and other carriers, right? If you fast forward to 2022, even the end of last year, we've plugged most holes across the state of Georgia. In fact, we've built over 120 towers in the state of Georgia out of the ground new every single year since we've launched this network. So what does that do for you? That plugs and fills just about every hole imaginable that we had before. So big difference in coverage. You guys still have some challenges out there in the county. You get out towards Capps Ferry Road. And the reason I know the mapping there is because I grew up in Douglasville 32 years. So I know every nook and cranny of these roads you guys drive every day. But I'm happy to say everything that I experienced as a kid having AT&T to now, we've plugged and we've done a really good job at mitigating any coverage gaps really across the country for you guys. So with that said, you're probably asking yourself, well, does this require some type of special equipment? The answer is absolutely not. Everything that you do today, everything that you use today, can usually be put on our network. Any of the usual suspects, iPhones, iPhone 14s, Pro Maxes, whatever you use, we do obviously would like to furnish that to you, but we do have a BYOD program where you can bring your own device. If it's say a specialized piece of equipment like Rod and them use, which are mission critical modems, MDTs, and public safety specific equipment. Part of this portfolio, one of the things I love to talk about is our local control platform. Basically, it's not just a portal to go see your bill. When you go in here, you have access to network outage alerts, the same alerts that we get as your team that support you. But more importantly, you're going to know when it happened, why it happened, and what the what we call estimated time of restoral is, right? Or ETR. So not only do you have those access to your deployables in there that you can call us for, but if you wanted to go into this portal, you could request a deployable within minutes. It's even faster than you even calling me. So I say that's a really cool new feature that we've added. That's why we call it local control. It's not just a portal. More importantly, when you think about the support side of things, and this is what's unique to the telecom space. I mean, most people with other carriers, what I hear commonly is there's just not enough support, Andrew. We'd love to have a team that's there. So I encourage you, and you can ask Rod or anybody in your county or around you, Cobb County, please reach out to them, ask what the feedback's like, for me and Mitch and how we support you guys. We're here every step of the way. If you pick up the phone and call me, I'm there. If I'm not, you've got Mitch. Erlene supports you guys on the wireline side, but we are your local team. It's nice to have that local person versus calling a 1-800 number. In fact, we encourage that far before you ever call a 1-800 number. That's our job, right? So I just want you to know you have a dedicated team. I don't know if you do today with the carrier you have, but that's important to have in today's world, especially as workforces are being reduced across the country. So that's pretty much it for FirstNet in a nutshell. I'll open up for any questions that you guys have, or anything that I can talk to you about on it.
Thank you, Andrew. Woo, that was exhaustive. I've not heard of FirstNet, but that was good presentation, right? And all the entities that you guys have worked with across the board. So I do feel comfortable, at least if the Board of Commissioners decide to use you, knowing that you work with the school board and of course the sheriff's office. So that's always a plus. I don't have any questions. Director Bittencourt, anything from you?
I don't have any questions. I've been speaking with Andrew now for a little bit. Like I said, I've worked with other municipalities that use FirstNet, and I've helped migrate to FirstNet. Usually, the police cars and their MDTs, their Cradle Points run on FirstNet. Another thing that I didn't mention is that they have a virtual private network set up so that they connect to our dispatching center through the police or through the fire department's laptops and their MDTs directly without having to go through like a VPN service or something like that. So it's more secure and faster and can provide dispatching and GPS services in areas that they don't have necessarily good signal. So that's the capacity of where I've used them, and I've been familiar with them, and I just wanted to present to the technology committee as we move forward and evaluate what our options are, and work with purchasing to figure out where our cost is, and then bring it to the board and see what they decide.
Yeah, and we're here every step of the way. If you guys need us to present to anybody in the county, I probably know a good bit of you, so I'm happy to be here and address any questions you guys ever have. And I'll leave you with this quick thought, right? You know, where this is fine and dandy, the network does what it does. You know, there's an element to this that has really helped close a lot of communication gaps during a crisis that we specialize in, and that's true interoperability and true mutual aid when a crisis occurs or a planned event occurs. And what I mean by that is every one of your devices could be equipped with a push-to-talk application at $2 a line, and it could bridge a gap between you and SO and the school system in ways that if everyone needed instant communication, I'm not making 20 calls to 20 different people to get everyone in a room that needs to be in a room, right? And it's over that network that you know has to work. So that's a big piece. Kennesaw uses us that way today, where they're going to be using us on the July 3rd celebration. They use us every year, but they have an all-call channel with every single phone they carry in the county. And anybody from the mayor to the chief of police to the director of public works has now bridged that gap in communication. They're not having to carry, you know, an additional handhold or a radio. So just think about that. And that's something that we specialize in bridging those gaps. And that's really the deep dive, the fun part of what we do, and I specialize, and Mitch specializes in. So we look forward to seeing where you can use us and partnering with you very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew.
So the next steps would be to get a procurement. Are you statewide? Are you on the statewide contract? FirstNet is? Okay, great.
Yeah, GTA, yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. GTA and PPGov, whichever you prefer.
Okay, perfect. Thank you guys so much. Is there anything else to come before us, Alex?
I think that's it.
Well, if there is nothing else, if no one else has anything else, speak now, forever hold your peace. If not, then this meeting stands adjourned at 3:30 p.m. Thank you all for your input, and I'll see you at the next meeting. responsible for making sure it's carried out? I'm assuming it's you.
Actually, our continuity plan is for that department. It's there, and I'll make sure when we visit them and I'll go over their plan with them, we make sure they understand this is for you to run your department during the disaster. You know, we give you the software and the information of how to build it out, but keeping it updated on that department, because there'd be no way for us to keep up with all the departments we have. Not every department has one. When we did we kind of prioritized. And maybe a time a little bit later we can add some more to it. The majority of them are. There's a few of the newer departments that do not have continuity operations plans. And after we get through, we can revisit the ones that are not included in that and see if we want to add them on and pay a little. There's a small fee for each plan that you add on. We can add it on and get them after we finally get through with the updating the ones we have.
Okay. And is IT a part of this?
They have IT. They're one of the next ones coming up. They also have their own type continuity plans too for computer redundancies and stuff like that. Ours would be more for who's coming to work, who's working from home, where you're going to move to, what do you need to pack and you pick up your bag and go to another place and run your department and be back in working condition as quickly as possible if your building or your office disappears tomorrow.
Got you.